Brother and lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. We are going to be discussing much about Arsenal, the team news ahead of Aston Villa, Mikel Arteta's press conference, and his general reaction around the Chelsea Manchester United games that have been actually rescheduled to suit BT, Sky, and the Premier League. And because we're going to also be discussing much about transfers and things like that around the club as well. So Mikel has been speaking to the media a couple of minutes ago, and he was asked about a couple of things really. Is Smith Rowe ready to play to play again? Is the team ready to go again? And my favorite question in that interview again has been whether the boys are ready to bounce back, whether they feel that setback is just a small thing. And Mikel said, look, it's something that always happens in football. You're going to lose games. You're going to you're always going to need the resilience to bounce back and things like that. He said, look, the team is in a good shape. They have taken off a full day. That was yesterday, just to heal. I mean, I think the comment was funny that Arsenal took off a full day just to heal, and then they're training today, preparing for Aston Villa. So that and more in this video is going to be coming up. Hit the like button if you love the content, and subscribe if you feel like the content is okay to you. I mean, do me a huge favor and make sure you do subscribe as well. So let's look at what Mikel actually spoke about in that press conference. It was quite long. Yeah, it was really quite long. But right, so let's get into it, lads. Let's get into it. Make sure you hit the like button as well. Right. On our list team news, on our list, team news update. Who's in? Who's not in? You said there is no news. Yesterday we just recovered after the game, and today we will have our fast training session. So we will see how everybody is today. So honestly, there is no news. During that Liverpool preview, I told you it was only Big Tomiyasu who was actually out, and now the fact that he's back and the fact that he's okay, Smith Rowe is okay, is also back in the team as well. Both of them were the two players sidelined for some time. The rest of the squad is fit. The rest of the squad is okay. And I'm gonna say I think we are lucky that at this point in time we've not really picked up these deadly and very bad injuries that clubs always pick up, that clubs always have. So it's somewhat very lucky from us, but. Team news at the moment, we don't have anything to worry about. On whether Tomiyasu will be fit to play tomorrow, he said there will be a chance, but we do not know. Again, in training, we will see how he is feeling, on why he's taken so long to get back to full fitness. He said because he had a reoccurring injury around the same place, and then obviously after that, you have a little bit more. You have to be a little bit more cautious sometimes. And personally, I think Cedric Soares has really done well, unless you lads have very different opinions about this. I feel like Cedric has really done a very great job when it comes to backing up Tomiyasu. At first, I was really afraid, because you really can't trust Cedric Soares, especially the fact that he's he's not had a very good season. But after the injury of Tomiyasu, I'm going to say he's done well. I'm going to say he deserves some credit, regardless of the way he started the season. I think he's done well. I mean, you lads would tell me, but I think it's done well. I think it's really done well. Right. So on whether Emil Smith Rowe is fit to start, he said he was fine again. He had a little issue before the game, but he's been fine the past 2 days. So hopefully he can get some more consistency and momentum. I also think that is that is going to be very important for Smith Rowe. Look, the season started, and this is how interesting. this Arsenal side is. The season started, and Smith Rowe was one of the better players we had, honestly. We can't lie about it. He was one of the best players that we had, in this Arsenal side. But the way he's dropped out of pecking order, Odegaard, just bring in, that very, very high form. I think the standards in that number 10 have been set too high for Smith Rowe by Martin Odegaard. And I think Martinelli has also set the standards very high. On the left, on the left wing. So he's found them. He's found himself just as a backup, and for me, it's okay. I think it's absolutely fine for him to be a backup as a player. It's okay. I think this is a young side that is having lots of consistent competition. You lose it, you drop out. And at some point in time, I do not know why, but at some point in time, I feel Smith Rowe is going to be back into that starting 11. Saka and Martinelli are doing well on the flanks. Odegaard, in that number 10 role, is doing very well as well. Lacazette is doing well as a false nine or as a lone striker. But Smith Rowe, I just think it's all about pushing and being consistent and being on top of his game. At some point in time, he will get back to being our, to being our, starter, to being, a starter in the team. On what he's been able to do since Wednesday night, I said we've tried to recover well, mentally and physically, rest well and sleep well as well. Yesterday, we just spent time recovering and making sure that everyone is fit for training to get 1 day to prepare and ready for tomorrow. I think, look, I think it's right there. There is nothing you could do very, very much in that regard. Honestly, when you are, when you played on Wednesday and you played a huge game like Liverpool, where you need to work a lot, where you need to work hard, it might not be as easy as as the rest of the days. It might not be as fluid as the rest of the days, where probably you play Brighton, and on the weekend you have Aston Villa. Liverpool is a difficult game. They're very, very, very difficult team. They need you to work hard. They need you to work a lot, and I think they overworked us. Honestly, they really, really overworked us. But the good thing is the players have recovered, according to Mikel Arteta, both both physically and mentally. That is very, very key. On whether he stands by his comments on the Premier League schedule, this is where it gets interesting, because listen, it says I do, because talking about the Premier League, and I had some comments about when you are in Europe. It's nothing new. And it says it's nothing new to me, but I'm not comparing Europe. I'm comparing the Premier League and how we are scheduling games in the Premier League. When you are in Europe, it's a different story. What I'm comparing is the Premier League, and it's very, very different. So listen, the couple of people who have actually come out and said Mikel is actually crying for nothing, and they're saying if you are going to the Champions League, if you're going to Europe, then you've got to get used to playing every, 2 games every 3 days, because in Europa you play on Thursday, and then you play on Sunday. So literally have 2 days to rest. That is Friday and Saturday. And if you're in the UEFA Champions League, you can't play on Wednesday, rest on Thursday, Friday, and then you play on Saturday. So many people were saying if this Arsenal side is really serious about going back to the Champions League, then this is something they should really get used to. And I personally do not disagree with them. Like, I don't disagree with them. Look, we've got to get, we need to get used to the fact that the Champions League is a tournament that is going to call us to get used to compact games. But for the Premier League, really, the reasons as why they are rescheduling these games, that is where Mikel Arteta has a concern, right? And I agree. I've been watching James Alcott and Flav, and Flav was making a point that look, Arsenal and Mikel Arteta are afraid of games. We are not fucking afraid of games. We're not afraid of games. What we are saying is, if you're rescheduling these games, if you're rescheduling these games, do it with the right motives and do it, in the right way. And Mikel feels the Premier League are not doing it in the right way. And I personally feel like I want to blame, the Premier League, right? I honestly, I feel like that. But anyway. It really doesn't matter. Just a moment, lads. The UEFA Champions League draws have been taken, and these the draws. Chelsea will take on Real Madrid. Manchester City take on Atletico Madrid. Villarreal take on Bayern, and Benfica will take on Liverpool. So if you want to watch my opinion about this draw and the semi-finals and who goes to the finals, make sure you do watch 99 Sport. I'm going to upload that video and I'll share it on the community tab of this channel. So make sure you do follow there as well. But moving on to our press conference and the reaction, Mikel spoke about a couple of things actually. He said he was asked about having Manchester United on having another tight turnaround for Chelsea and Manchester United, and he said we are the only team that has been scheduled like that, and I'm not talking about again about Europe, because some of these teams are not going to be involved in Europe. Interesting. I don't know what it means here, right? I do not know what it means here, because it says, yes, we are the only team that has been scheduled like that. And I'm not talking about, Europe again, because some of these teams are not going to be, involved in Europe. Is he talking about Chelsea? Is he talking about Manchester United? I can't guess. Honestly, I can't guess, but I wish I knew. I really, really wish I knew whether he was taking a dig here at Manchester United or Chelsea. But literally, lads, these are two games in hand. Okay, Chelsea's a game in hand, and we understand. And if Arsenal win their fixtures, that game in hand will not mean anything. But why? What is the motive that these games have been rescheduled? That is what I don't understand, and that is what that is where I 100% agree with Mikel Arteta on how it feels to have 4 players in the England squad. He said very, very happy. I'm really happy, especially for the boys, because they deserve to be there. They work so hard, and I know how much it means for them to represent their country. And as a club, I think we have to be very proud that our players are in the front line and being noticed. It is a long time since that happened, so I think it is a very, very good sign. Positive signs. Positive signs. Look, I've already said this, that big ups. There are things that you're moving in the right direction, especially as a big club, as a club that wants to be huge. One is you have to look at how many of my players represent their country. It's something big, absolutely big, especially in the development process of a team. It's, like Arsenal, we are in a transition. So the more players we have representing their countries, the more signs, the better that we are moving in the right direction. It's very, very different for me from a scenario where a team is doing well. For example, if like West Ham, and many of their players are not called, because West Ham, if some of their players are not called, yes, they're not doing well. It's understandable, probably the quality of players, and they have so many players are ahead of them in pecking order. But Arsenal, as a big team, it means you must be able to employ players that are first choice on national duty, and I think we've done that. And I think 4 players for England, 1 for Norway, 1 for Brazil, that is Gabriel. I think Martinelli was not called, I'm not really sure. But 1 for Portugal, Cedric Soares. Yeah. I mean, out of the 11 starters, Partey represents Ghana as well, and Switzerland is represented by Xhaka. You think, I think it's Lacazette, who doesn't represent his country is Lacazette. It's Lacazette alone, maybe, and Martinelli. And Martinelli, be very, very sure that Martinelli will get a call up very, very soon. That one, I'm 100% very, very sure. Moving on to what the manager spoke about next. He spoke about he spoke about on what he puts their collapse down to, and he said their efforts and how much they want it, obviously their quality, their ability, and then obviously what they're doing performance wise to get the attention of the England manager. I also think Mikel deserves credit here. This is a group of young players that need lots of guidance. And he's done it well, honestly. He's done it well. He's a ruthless manager, but I think he's done it well. He's done it well in terms of guiding these players. Right. On whether Ramsdale is the best goalkeeper in England at the moment, he said he's there now and he's going to be fighting for a place. And knowing Aaron, he's going to be pushing very hard because it is one of his dreams. And then it will be down to the coaching staff and the manager to decide if he will be number one. Did I say Mauricio Pochettino? I was about to say that, but it was Brendan Rodgers who actually came out and said he thinks Ramsdale is one of the best. Is actually the best goalkeeper in England at the moment. The best English goalkeeper. Look, I think I will give some consideration to Jordan Pickford, because we know how good Pickford is, especially on national duty, or probably how idle at times he is. But I think I've got to agree, Ramsdale at the moment, based on the fact that he's putting a lot of personal effort, based on the fact that he's come a long way, you've got to argue he's the best English goalkeeper in the UK now. Yeah, he's the best English goalkeeper in the UK, and he's the best English goalkeeper in Europe at the moment. We've got to argue for that. Honestly, lads, we've got to argue for that. Unless otherwise. He was asked about conceding. I think the Jota goal, on how he reacted to conceding the Jota goal, that is Ramsdale, and said oddly he was gutted after the match. It's normal because he's such a competitive boy, but he needs to realize that this is going to happen in your career. At this stage, if you play for the national team, probably you're going to have a moment when you do something, and then instead of some part of the country, it will be the whole country on your back. If you want to be at the top 10, 15, or 20 years, you have to be prepared for that. It's all about how you react in those moments. And I agree. I think Aaron Ramsdale, I don't think he really needs to let this press him very, very much. Look, many Aston fans were fuming. I was not. Honestly, I was not. If you've watched my reaction, I was not fuming. And in the 6 things we learned, I said it's high time Arsenal fans, realize that Ramsdale is a good goalkeeper. That much we know, unless we need some reminding. So he's a good goalkeeper, and the only thing we can do, the best thing we can do, is to back him. I mean, Arsenal fans are very, very good at backing their players. So I don't think he did something, how is it called, criminal. I don't think Ramsdale did anything criminal. What he did, he's trying to punch away the ball, and he doesn't get it. I think he gets it wrong, because Jota goes for absolute power on the near post. Ramsdale wants to punch away the ball with one hand. Hit the like button, people. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody who's done that. Hit the like button. Let's get at least 30 likes on this video. So Ramsdale is trying to punch away the ball, and he fails at it terribly. He fails at it. I think he underestimates the power Jota has put behind the shot, and also the positioning is a little bit bizarre. Yeah, for a goalkeeper, the quality and caliber and stature of Aaron Ramsdale. But I'm happy. I'm absolutely happy because he set the standard too high that if anything like that happens, he's like, I've made a mistake. Some goalkeepers, that is a usual goal, right? But to be at that level where you feel as Arsenal, your goalkeeper should do better, and that is not for any other reason. It is because he himself has actually set the standards. He's put up the standards. He said, I'm going to be a top class goalkeeper. I'm going to be a good goalkeeper. And I'm literally not going to allow such stupid shots to go past me. And he's done it. So Ramsdale, I mean, it only depends on how you bounce back. Newcastle have lost the second game in a row. And this time they lost to Chelsea over the weekend. And in midweek, they've lost to Everton. So you see that how you bounce back. It's not losing in a game is okay, but don't lose 2 in a row, right? Don't lose 3 in a row. Bounce back and try to stitch together those wins. Try to find a pattern. I want to send shout outs to everybody who is in the comment section. Thanks so much. I want to say I want to send my regards to you lads. Right. Moving on. On how Mikel thinks Ramsdale will react. And he says, Mikel says, I think he will react very, very top. He wants to be there the next day. He wants to go and practice. He wants to see it. He's very, very critical of himself, and so sometimes he needs to have some help to put things into perspective, and for him to realize as well how much he has contributed to the team. Absolutely. Look, there are some scoundrels, Arsenal scoundrels, and the Arsenal fans, and many fans, lumpens out there that support Spurs and other clubs that are waiting for a moment when a player makes a mistake and they pick on him. You know what? Because they don't want to accept that this Arsenal side has disappointed them by becoming better than they expected. So for me, I don't care if it was wrong. I bashed this Arsenal side. I criticized Mikel Arteta, but I'm happy. I'm really happy. I'm happy that I was wrong. At the end of the day, if you're an Arsenal fan, what you want is this group of players to be performing well under the manager. And I think we are seeing that. Ramsdale is now being bashed by some fans because he has lost one moment, right? One moment like this. The reason as to why I stood behind Ban Leno was Leno stood up for Arsenal for a whole campaign, for a whole season. He stood up. Mikel Arteta's first season and during the Unai Emery era, he stood up for Arsenal, and he was among the best performers in those campaigns. So I didn't bash him. I didn't sell him away. But when you sell away your players, it's ridiculous. Honestly, lads, it's ridiculous. You don't need to do it. We don't need to do it. We absolutely don't have to do it. So I think Ramsdale as well will react very, very top. And I think it's the perfect game to bounce back for me. Because if you look at Villa's offensive threat, Watkins, Coutinho, Jacob Ramsey, Danny Ings, it's not an easy side. But if he can get those challenges and get equal to the challenges as we know him, then for me, lads, there is nothing to worry about. On what a tougher finish would mean for Arsenal and him personally, that is Mikel. He said, when we do it, I will tell you, because it still hasn't happened. There is still 11 games left for us to play, and a lot of things could happen, and that's what we are playing for. And absolutely, he's right. We have a very difficult game coming up. Actually, if you look at our next 6 games, I've signed up for this Arsenal fixtures on my calendar today, and I'm like, okay, right, okay. But if you look at our next 6 fixtures, lads, Arsenal will play Aston Villa first, then we'll play Crystal Palace next, then we'll play Southampton next. So only those 3 fixtures are tricky. Villa are not an easy side under Steven Gerrard. And Crystal Palace, and of course, we've not beaten Crystal Palace this season yet. It was 2-0. Arsenal equalizing in the dying minutes. And then the next game there from Crystal Palace, from Southampton, I think that will be Brighton, right? That will be Brighton. After Brighton, you have Chelsea. After Chelsea, you have Manchester United. Look, these 6 games mean a lot. I can't ask Arsenal to pick up all points. Could be a little bit too ambitious or unfair to the lads. But if we can beat Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Southampton, and Brighton, we are done. We are done. I don't care the other results from the other teams. We are done. We are through. Because United as well, they'll have to play. They still have to play Chelsea. They still have to play Arsenal, and they still have to play Liverpool. So I'm not afraid of Manchester United. I know many United fans are looking at this in a very, very different angle. But what they are forgetting is that they're shit this season. They're absolute crap. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. But for me, a tougher finish, really, lads. It would be hard work paid. Hard work paid. On the 4 of the next 5 fixed games, being away from home, and how tough that will be. It says very, very, because every game in the Premier League is extremely difficult to win. We are going to play very, very difficult matches, just like the rest of the matches and the rest of the teams. The thing is that we have some games in hand still. It is not simple again, but performing like we did against Liverpool for the majority of the game, if we do that, we'll be close to winning those 4 matches. And it's right. Look, Villa away, Crystal Palace away, Chelsea away, and I think it's Brighton at home, Southampton away, right? Right? Yeah, because I think we actually went to the sea, and it was a 0-0. I still remember that game. If you still remember, it was a 0-0. We went to the sea, visited the Seagulls, Brighton, and it was a 0-0. But I think this is frightening. This is absolutely frightening, because 4 games away from home in your 5, if that could be a disaster. That could be an absolute disaster. You're not going to just walk into those parks and stadiums and pick up results, especially the likes of Villa, the likes of Crystal Palace. They've been outstanding. They picked up that very, very vital point against Manchester City, and they have given us now a very interesting title race. But I still trust Arsenal. In the end, I still trust Arsenal. We'll beat Spurs in that game in hand. We'll beat Spurs. I'm telling you, honestly. On Aston Villa's current form and what he thinks of the work Gerrard is doing there, he said, "Look, very good. They had some positive results in the last few weeks. He's changed the shape. He's changed a few things in that team. He's changed a few things that the team is doing. He's brought a different energy again to the stadium. I think I'm impressed with what he's doing." Yeah, honestly, look, me too. I think Steven Gerrard, I'm one person who thought sacking. I thought sacking Dean Smith was irrational, hurried, illogical. But it looks like Villa are really building a project, and they're not willing for anything or anyone to stand in the way of that project. regardless of who you are. I think Dean Smith had really done a very good job in building this side and giving them that kind of fatherly love. But when he lost Grealish, he lost the project. I think he had built his project around Jack Grealish. Yet this team had lots of money to give him to invest, and it had so many beautiful players that you could build around. Watkins, Jacob Ramsey. I mean, you could build around Joe McGinn as well. I think he's interesting. Maybe he's not young, but he's a key member of the squad. Douglas Luiz. They had brought in Emi Martinez. Tyrone Mings. This despite the fact that I feel he's dropped off a cliff. He's fallen off a cliff at some point in time. Matty Cash. I just felt like he had lost it, right? And I still feel deep down in me that he would have gotten it right. But honestly, they were crumbling. They were suffering. And Steven Gerrard was the painkiller. And I think he's done it well. He's given them that pain relief. And now it's like, after, look, the pain has gone. Let's now focus. Let's now look ahead. Let's see what you can do. I think that's okay. I think it's done well as well. On Coutinho, and if he's the danger man, we need to stop. He said he's one of them. Obviously, the team activates a lot of things when he's on the ball and he's dangerous and he's in dangerous areas. He's contributed a lot. A lot. He's in there attacking first. So obviously, it's something he needs to bear in mind. And look, this is an excerpt on that question, but because I watched this live on the Arsenal website, so if you want to watch live press conferences, it is, I don't know why it makes me comfortable to watch it live than to rewatch it on YouTube. I would rather watch it live, read it, and then react to it than watch it later and then read it. It feels heavy. But look, I think Mikel is right. Filippo Coutinho and this whole stuff about Aston Villa is key, absolutely key. And I think the other thing he's right about, they don't have one danger man. They have Coutinho, Jacob Ramsey. That combination is really deadly. Coutinho and Ramsey, they have a very, very deadly combination. We'll talk about that in the preview today. Still, I think we should do the preview live as well. How do you see, lads? I think we should do our preview live as well later, probably at 8:30 p.m. We should do our preview live. But my point is, you have so many players to stop at Villa: Ings, Watkins, Coutinho, Ramsey, Douglas Luiz. There's so many of them, and now they have Luca Digne that I think is even a bigger threat than some of these forwards. Yeah, he's a bigger threat than some of these forwards. Then you have Matty Cash, who's young and exciting as well. So it's a huge job. It's a huge task for us as Arsenal. But I know we will overcome it. No questions there. We'll overcome it. Mm-hmm. Right. On what he thinks, on why he thinks he does so well in the Premier League, and he says his ability to create goals, to create chances, and to unlock spaces when they don't exist. That's a quality that he had and continues to have when he was at Liverpool. Can't add more to that. I really can't add more to that because he said it on Mikel. He said it on Mikel. That is the strength of Filippo Coutinho. And that is the strength of Martin Odegaard. I think Odegaard and Coutinho, what is the difference? Or I think the difference is that Coutinho scores more, finds himself in more in goal scoring positions. And I think he's got this kind of a flair, but that kind of Brazilian flair, right? To him. But when you look at the important aspects, they're so similar. Odegaard and Coutinho are very, very similar. Actually, Arteta says that we wanted Coutinho, but in the end, we went for a different option, and that is Martin Odegaard. But if you look at Odegaard, whenever there are two players passing between themselves, he comes and provides himself as the third option, right? He provides himself as the third option, and that is one. He makes himself available, and therefore in systems like Mikel Arteta's, it makes it easy for the for the ball to to run, because it just creates those superiorities that you need in a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3. And in tactical tactical positioning and tactical football, you need those superiorities, you need those overloads, and I think that is what Martin Odegaard does. If you look at his heat maps and you look at Coutinho's heat maps, literally what they do is they pick up the ball in deeper areas, then they progress it. But what they do better and how they help their teams is they create those overloads. You'll see that when Odegaard, when the ball moves to the left, Odegaard moves to the left. So he creates that overload, he creates that superiority in numbers. When the ball moves to the right, then he moves to the right as well. When the ball is in the middle of the park, he is there just to provide overloads and superiorities in terms of numbers, just to provide more passing options. Because if you're going to play a possessive game, then you need to have many passing options. I think that is what Odegaard does. Just drops in spaces. You will always find him dropping in spaces to receive the ball and then pass it on and then move to other areas where he can create an overload as well. So I think honestly, in the end, Coutinho is one to watch out for. Coutinho is one to watch out for, and a couple of others really. On the coaching, paying off for Ben White and Ramsdale. He said, yeah, but it's down to the players. At the end, the players have the quality, they have the mental strength, the ambition. And those are the things that that were important at the beginning, because you have those conversations with players. It comes from them, what they want to achieve, what they want to be in the football world, how they think they can be helping our club to progress. And with those two, I was very, very convinced. He was convinced. And I think it's paying off. Yeah. And I think it's paying off. I think the signature of Ben White, especially on the fact that Ben White is has had a very, very big price tag, because price tags always affect players. Gareth Bale, Harry Maguire, Nicola Pepe. These price tags, despite the fact that it is the psychological, factor of the game that maybe many people will not agree, with. They believe we've signed you, come on the pitch and score goals. But price tags and the need and the need to perform and fulfill and meet those standards. At times the standards are too high. When do you meet them? That's the question. And I think we've done well. On Steven Gerrard, he said he was a terrific player, really intelligent. He had everything. He had the aggression, he had the quality, he had the goal threat, he had the leadership, the presence on the pitch. He was tough. I was asked about the days when he was actually playing with Steven Gerrard. I said, look, I played against Gerrard on a couple of occasions, many times. In the it's called the Merseyside Derby, and he said he was a very, very difficult player. And as far as we've watched Steven Gerrard, terrific, absolutely terrific. He's one of those midfielders that I remember that you could use the word terrorize, and it works well on him. He could terrorize defenses. He could terrorize midfields. He could. He had the pace. He had the build. He had the knowledge. He was surrounded at some point in time with good players. Him, Coutinho, Suarez, and then before that as well, he was good at free kicks. He was good at penalties. He was a complete midfielder, lads. He was complete midfielder. I think that debate between him and Lampard and Scholes, I prefer Scholes, honestly. I think Scholes was a machine, but Lampard has many goals, leading top scorer for Chelsea. Steven Gerrard, what can we say about him at Liverpool? He was a bowler. On if he'll be a good manager, or if Steven Gerrard will be a good manager, he said, I think he's got he's gotten very well so far. What he did at Rangers, I think, is remarkable, and I don't know if he gets the credit that he should be, because I played there at Rangers. I know that club. I know how that club goes and how it turned it around and what is done at Villa. So I think he's so far done very, very well. On the managerial pathway, on the managerial pathway, he was asked on whether him going to on whether Arteta going to City and being an understudy to Pep, and Gerrard going to straight away to manage Rangers. He was asked whether Gerrard's decision was a bit of a more risky gamble. And he said, I don't know. I don't know this. I don't know how he thought about the opportunity, how they communicated with him, but for sure, I think it was a very, very great experience. On if the television delay, here we are. On if the television deals play a part in the rescheduling of our games, he said, but he said there is no question about that. They can do it. It's good. They can do it. We have to accept it. I accept it. We're going to be playing. That's no problem. It's how can we do it to be more fair and have equality in every game. Again, this is out of Europe. Europe is not counted here. All the Europe talk is out of this conversation. It's nothing to do with Europe. We've talked about that. On why clubs are having meetings with the Premier League, it says because the first thing is to protect the players, and we mentioned that many times. Can we please avoid Wednesday night and Saturday morning and every traveling and all those things? I understand they have commitments, and it's all for TV. We all understand that, and you can do it once, but don't do it twice, because we still have to put the fixture of Spurs. And for the third time, we are going to be the only ones to do it. Then, yeah, you have to accept. You have to accept that. You just don't want to be silly with it. All right. He's angry. He's angry. Look, if you've watched the press conference, he's angry. Yeah. I've seen him angry. He's angry. On if he has concerns over when the Tottenham game would be played, he said yes, because I don't know, and we are not going to be deciding. It's going to be very, very important. On if he's held talks with Premier League about it yet, and said that's not that has nothing to do with me. The club has to arrange those conversations. Right. On if we are ever interested in Coutinho, and he said we looked at many different options with qualities about that he obviously had, and in the end we went with a different option. But of course, if you hear him answer that question, literally, he was really interested in Philippe Coutinho, and it would have been a gamble that could have paid off. It would have been a gamble that could have paid off, honestly, in my opinion. Asked on if he had concerns about Ben White's price tag, I said, look, you have always concerns. You always have concerns when you pay big sums of money, because first of all, you want to protect the club's money and investments in the best way possible, because you want to maximize it in the best way possible and bring potential and capacity to develop the team in the right way. You want players that can perform at the highest level, and you always have doubts because they have to come here, they have to they have to integrate, they have to carry, for example, what you've just mentioned on their shoulders, and it's the first time they are going to do it. It's not something they have already done. So if they don't have experience or something new, and you have to help them to go down that path, that time, and try to absorb everything new that is happening the best way, so that they can focus on getting the best. You can focus on getting the best out of them. So he says he had concerns about Ben White, and lastly on the press conference, on the role that White has played in our record defending concerns, and he says, I think it's the whole team. It's the commitment that everybody has to fulfill, the roles, the discipline, that you should do it the right way, that we've done it and we want to maintain and improve it. Right. So that is it from Mikel Arteta. The team news, we've looked at the team news. He said nothing to be worried about. When it comes to team news, nothing to really be worried about. So, look, I think long, lengthy press conference, but well deserved, honestly. Hi, Cossy. How are you doing, Rogers? Hope you're doing well. McNally was called as well. Thank you so much, Rogers. That is good. Anu, my man, thank you so much for tuning in. Says, afternoon, Cossy. How are you doing, Anu? And then Sulaiman says, Sulaiman the Crazy says, I'm tuned in already. Thank you, Cossy. Thank you so much as well. So, lads, when it comes to Mikel Arteta and the press conference, I think the few things are picked out in here, and they have caught my attention is, I think Mikel knows what he wants to do, but regardless, it's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be easy. He knows what he wants to do. He knows how he wants it to be done, but it is not going to be that easy. And I think he needs more players. I think, let's see how the summer is going to go. But honestly, the Villa game is important, very important. And that's why I'm going to do the reaction live. I'll be live for I'll be live for the reaction, but I'll be live for the game preview. So I'll be live. Make sure you do catch me. Till then, bye-bye.
Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say,